Yeah, we back. We got a special series, man. This is a brand new series. This book is entitled The Colonial System Revealed, and it was published in the year 1814 by a gentleman by the name of Baron de Vastey, the right-hand man, the secretary to King Henri Christophe, the King of Haiti. And you could kind of say this would be a follow-up to a previous audiobook that I did. Take a look up on the screen. It was entitled The Memoirs of Jean-Jacques Dessalines' Secretary. And that book was written by Dessalines' secretary at that time, a gentleman by the name of Baron de. Go check that out. Classic, man. Classic. Go check that out, man. Now, today, we're going to get into it, man. Not wasting no time. This video is going to be kind of like an introduction, laying the groundwork and the foundation before we jump into the meat and potatoes of the book. And believe it or not, I have not read this book yet. I'm reading it along with you. So y'all gonna get my live reactions, my thoughts as I'm reading it, right? I've never read this. I just got my hands on the book yesterday and I posted about it on my community tab. Take a look up on the screen. I had said this: I have recently got my hands on this extremely rare piece of literature, and I'm thinking about reading it to my audience in audiobook format. The Colonial System Unveiled, a book by Haitian writer and politician Baron de Vastey, originally published in 1814. It is possibly the first systemic critique of colonialism ever written. It was published 10 years after the end of the Haitian Revolution and during the reign of King Henri Christophe, who Vastey worked for as secretary. The book is dedicated to the king, linking Vastey's writing to the state, meaning that this book was published by the Kingdom of Haiti. Vastey wrote it, but this book was sent out to the world with the authorization of the Kingdom of Haiti, with the stamp of approval from the King of Haiti. This is royal literature, okay? Let's continue. The Colonial System Unveiled is an essay divided into two sections. The first documents the history of colonization and slavery in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, and the second section describes in detail the inhumane acts committed by French colonists and plantation owners, whose names are provided. Vastey advocates for the necessity of violence in retaliation against colonialism. While Vastey's works were widely popular in the 1800s, with 3 of his books being translated into English shortly after their release, The Colonial System Unveiled has been given less attention by Anglophone audiences. I wonder why. In 2014, 200 years after the original publication in French, Liverpool University Press released an English translation of The Colonial System Unveiled. Now, let's get into it, man. Before we jump into the book, though, let's give an introduction on the writer. Let's give an introduction on who is the man behind the pen, who is the man behind literature, who is Baron de Vastey. We got to set the context for the situation before we jump in deep into the subject. The little information that was previously available concerning Vastey's life derived from 4 main print sources, the first of these being the rare moments of autobiographical disclosure in his own published writings. Second, there is a paragraph concerning his life in a letter dated on the 29th of November 1819 that he wrote to the English abolitionist Thomas Clarkson as part of the Clarkson-Christophe correspondence during his time as the Secretary of State for the Kingdom of Haiti. Third, we have a number of first-hand accounts produced by foreign visitors to the Kingdom of Haiti who happen to have met Vastey in the last years of Christophe's reign and made passing comments about him, as well as books published mostly in the decade following his death. We also have a variety of rumors circulated in the late 1810s and early 1820s by the rival governments of Alexandre Pétion and Jean-Pierre Boyer, bitter enemies of Christophe who had a stake in slandering Vastey and the Kingdom of Haiti, and whose unflattering accounts of him greatly impacted how he would be presented in the work of subsequent Haitian historians. Now, going back to what I mentioned, the rival governments of Jean-Pierre Boyer, Alexandre Pétion, for those of y'all who already know, after the death of Dessalines, the country was divided into 2 separate governments. Up top, in the north, you had the Kingdom of Haiti. Down south, you had the Southern Republic of Haiti. In the north, you had the monarch style of government, a government mainly ran and controlled by black men. Both of Christophe's parents were born in Africa. In the south, you had a democratic republic, allegedly democratic, ran by light-skinned mulatto officers. But I don't want you to think that in the southern half of Haiti, it was all mulattoes, and in the northern half, it was all African. That was not the case. The populations of both countries, it was a mixed race population on both countries. On both sides, you had blacks and mulattoes who were citizens of the Kingdom of Haiti, as well as the Southern Republic of Haiti. It was a difference in ideology. It was a difference in governance. It was a difference in quality of life. With the Kingdom of Haiti more stable, a more rigid social structure, a more robust economy, more economic opportunity. Whereas in the South, it was full of corruption, it was full of poverty, it was full of crime, kind of like what we see today. Now, unfortunately, believe it or not, most Haitians have never read the writings of Baron de Vastey. Most Haitians have never read the writings of Baron de. Their legendary and illustrious ancestors who were there on the battlefield and left us their own personal first-hand accounts of what happened and their thoughts and their ideas and their feelings. Most Haitians have never read a single page of their work. The vast majority of Haitians have never read a single page of their work, but they could quote a Bible scripture like the back of their goddamn hand. Tell them to name one thing that Baron de Vastey said, they couldn't even tell you, bro. They couldn't even tell you. A lot of these folks never even heard of Baron or Baron de Vastey. I'm telling you right now. And why is that? You remember that video I dropped yesterday? That classic video. Take a look up on the screen. In that video, I compared 3 different historical events, traumatic events for 3 different communities. The Jewish community, we talked about the Holocaust. The Chinese, we spoke about the Chinese century of humiliation. And when it came to the Africans, we spoke about the transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, the scramble for Africa, etc., etc. I spoke about how, in response to those traumatic events, the Jewish people, they decided to become more self-reliant. They decided to rally amongst themselves, stick to themselves. The Chinese people, they had a renaissance of Chinese literature, culture, Chinese philosophy. They decided to retreat back into their cultural preservation. And I said, what did the Africans do worldwide? We decided to integrate into Western civilization. We decided to assimilate, abandon our cultures, abandon our mores, abandon everything about ourselves. We ran away from it. I spoke about how the Jewish people, the Chinese people, they place an emphasis on educating their own children, controlling their own narrative, maintaining their ancestral traditions and cultures. And I spoke about how us as black people worldwide, we did the complete opposite in response to our traumatic events. And we can see who has the money and power today. We could see who's on the bottom today. We could see who is proud of their people today, and who is full of self-hate and inferiority complex today. Who is mentally fucked up today. We could see. And you know why most Haitians have never read the writings of their legendary ancestors is because of the Catholic Church. Because of the Catholic Church. And how did that happen? Let me explain it to you. You see, in the 1850s, during the administration of General Fabre Gefra, there was something that happened called the Concordat of Haiti, an agreement between the Haitian government and the Vatican in Italy. Now, instead of doing what the Jewish people did, what the Chinese people did, and educating our own children, maintaining our own culture, like the boneheads that we are, we decided now we got to link up with the Europeans and get the European civilization and culture. We got to link up with the Roman Catholic Church and give them control over the entire education of our babies. Yeah, like a bunch of idiots that we were. The Concordat Agreement between Haiti and the Vatican, it aimed to regulate the relationship between the Haitian government and the Roman Catholic Church in Haiti. The Concordat officially recognized the Roman Catholic Church as the state religion of Haiti. This was a significant departure from the country's previous stances of religious freedom and separation of church and state. One of the most notable effects of the Haitian Concordat was the Catholic Church's increased influence over the education system. The agreement granted the Catholic Church considerable authority in the administration and management of the schools and the education of Haitian children. This included control over the curriculum, staffing, and the establishment of all new schools. The Concordat also restricted the development of non-Catholic schools in Haiti. This meant that schools run by other religious denominations or secular organizations faced increased challenges in obtaining recognition and support from the government. It effectively limited the diversity of education options available to the Haitian children. The Haitian government's focus on supporting Catholic education led to the neglect of public schools, as resources were diverted to Catholic schools. Public schools suffered from lack of funding and proper infrastructure. With the Catholic Church's significant influence in the education system, it was able to promote European values, European beliefs, and European culture among Haitian students. This had a cultural and religious impact on Haitian society, as it reinforced Catholicism as the dominant faith and influenced the values and perspectives of multiple generations of Haitian citizens. The preference for Catholic education, often seen as higher quality education due to the church's resources and influence, created a divide in Haitian society. Families who could afford to send their kids to Catholic schools often received a better education, allegedly, while those who could not afford it had limited access to quality educational opportunities. This exacerbated social and economic inequalities in Haiti. And to even expand further upon that, even though I grew up in the United States, I went to Catholic school my entire life because that same mentality carried over. Because even my own family had that perspective of the Catholic school education. It must be better than the public school education. Even though in America, my friends going to public school, they were learning the same exact curriculum that was mandated by the state that I was learning. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In New York State, you have to follow the same regulations, whether it's Catholic, whether it's private, whether it's public, it doesn't matter. But that mentality carried over. Even in the United States, I went to Catholic school my entire life, bro. Suit and tie my entire life. I wore a suit and tie to school until I was 18 years old. Let's continue. Let's get back into the man behind the literature. Let's learn about Baron de Vastey. In the aforementioned letter from 1819 to Thomas Clarkson, Baron de Vastey provides very precise information regarding his place of birth as well as his age. In one of his letters, he had said, "I was born at Henri, a parish in the interior of the country, in 1781, which means that I am now 39 years of age." Confirming Vastey's own account of the details of his birth is his baptismal certificate. The certificate cites Vastey's date of birth as the 21st of January, 1781, and identifies him as the legitimate son of Jean Vastey and Marie-Françoise Elizabeth Dumas. Vastey's mother was the sister of Cassette Dumas, the slave woman who gave birth to the French Revolutionary General Thomas Alexander Dumas, who was the father of the French novelist Alexander Dumas. Baron de Vastey was the general's cousin. Now we got to get into the family tree. Take a look up on the screen. This is Vastey's cousin French General Thomas Alexander Dumas, one of the first black men to rise to the rank of general in the European army and lead European troops into battle. Now, I'm giving him the title of black man because he resembles a black man, but during that time, he was what you call a mixed race man. Thomas Alexander Dumas was a general in the French Revolutionary Army during the 18th century who rose to the highest ranks in the army of Napoleon. He was born in the French colony of Saint-Domingue. He was born to a white French nobleman and an enslaved African woman. He was a man of mixed race. Dumas was sent to France at a young age to pursue a military career. His skills and leadership abilities quickly became evident, and he rose through the ranks of the French army during the French Revolution. He served as a private, sergeant, and eventually became a general. Dumas played a significant role in the French Revolutionary Wars and the Napoleonic campaigns. He distinguished himself in various battles, displaying bravery and tactical acumen. He served under the commanders such as Napoleon Bonaparte, Jean-Baptiste Jourdan. Despite his military prowess, Dumas faced racial prejudice and discrimination within the ranks of the French army, even though he was a general of high rank. He was temporarily imprisoned during the Reign of Terror and was later released and continued his military career. General Dumas married a French woman of noble descent. They had 2 children, including the famous French writer Alexander Dumas, who would later immortalize his father's legacy in literary works such as The Count of Monte Cristo and The Three Musketeers. Unfortunately, due to racism, Thomas Alexander Dumas spent several years in captivity. He was released in 1801, but lived the remainder of his life in relative obscurity and poverty. His son, Alexander Dumas, would go on to become one of France's most famous authors of all time. Vastey's grandson, the poet Oswald Durand, affirmed in print that my ancestor, Baron de Vastey, was the first cousin of General Dumas. Vastey was also a man of mixed race. The rate of interracial marriage remained around 20% of all marriages between the 1760s and 1780s in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, mainly among fortune-seeking Frenchmen and mixed-race women from elite families. However, in Vastey's own writing regarding his own family history, there is no mention anywhere of a white father anywhere in his books. The only explicit mention of his mother refers to an unnamed African woman, indicating his broader identification with blackness that is evident in his previous books when he said, "We are issued from African blood. We have nothing in common with the French." Woo! That's my dog, man. Baron de Vastey, that's my dog, man. That's my dog. That's my favorite mulatto right there. That's my favorite mulatto right there. I'm telling you. Now, let's continue. A fundamental part of the untold story about Baron de Vastey is how this light-skinned man, the son of a French slave owner, was able to reconstruct himself in his own writings as a self-identified African whose physical and moral faculties had been as overwhelmed under the load of slavery as those of his darker-skinned brethren. Now, time out. The main reason why I respect Baron de Vastey so much is because, unlike many of his fellow mulatto brothers, he rejected European culture. He rejected European society. He seen himself as a black man. He did not acknowledge his European side of the family, even though he had many elite. His uncle was a big French aristocrat. His father was a big plantation owner. He could have easily assimilated into European culture like the vast majority of them light-skinned boys back in the day. But he said, fuck all that shit, bro. I'm a black man. I'm standing with the black man. Fuck them boys over there. Fuck them forever. That's what he said. That was his mentality. And that was the mentality of the mulattoes that joined Christophe in the Kingdom of Haiti. You see, down south in the Southern Republic of Haiti, that was the mulattoes that wanted to assimilate into French culture. They established a democratic republic in the tradition of the Europeans. You know, they allowed the French ambassador to come to their country. You know, the Frenchy Élysée boys. Oh, oui, monsieur, je suis français. All that dumb shit. You know, up top, it was the black man. It was the black man that was not with none of that European dumb shit. We didn't establish a democratic republic like some damn white men. No, we established a kingdom like the black men back on the African continent. That's what it was, bruh. Let's continue. In Vastey's 1819 letter to Thomas Clarkson, he talks about the year 1796, his first encounter with the revolutionary leader Toussaint Louverture, whose base of operations at the time was precisely in Henri, Vastey's place of birth and his hometown. And yes, Vastey did fight in the army of Toussaint Louverture as a teenager. A lot of people don't know there were a lot of child soldiers in the Haitian Revolution, bro. It was not a bunch of grown men. It was not grown men, bro. We had 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Vastey was like a 16-year-old, 15-year-old during that time. And we even had the women. Yeah, we even had the women on the goddamn battlefield too, bro. It was all hands on deck, man. Let's continue. At the age of 15, Vastey told Clarkson, I entered the service of my country under the command of General Toussaint of glorious memory. Later, I served under Emperor Dessalines and the present King Christophe. In some of his lesser-known works, such as the 1815 Coup de la Conscience, we find a version of the same narrative where he says, we have served and fought under Governor Toussaint, under His Majesty the Emperor Dessalines, and now under the King, just as we hope, if still alive, to serve his dynasty always with the same zeal and unchanging fidelity. In one of his writings, Vastey describes a conversion experience that he underwent at the time, which is fundamental for the understanding of the future trajectory of his work and his unwavering allegiance to the black leaders of independent Haiti, such as Dessalines and Christophe. In one of his pamphlets addressed to his fellow mulattoes, aka the Haitians of color, in the Southern Republic of Haiti, Vastey reminds them that the mulatto population has always been the necessary instrument used by the enemies of Haiti to destroy the country, and warns them what happened back in 1802 must never happen again. Upon the arrival of the French army back in 1802, Vastey reminds his readers that it was the mulattoes who were the first and the most eager of those who surrendered to the French, and the reward for having served the French faithfully and even having fought tooth and nail for them was that by the end of the same year, they were being suffocated, drowned, hanged, shot, and bayoneted to death along with the Africans. Now, brothers, what did I say, brothers? What did I say about the mulatto boys that got the white fathers? What did I say? What did I say about the mixed race boys that got the non-black father? What did I say? The son will always follow in the footsteps of his father. The son will always admire his father. The son will always follow behind his father. So we should never be surprised. We should never be surprised. Yes, women are the transmitters of culture, but men set the parameters of the culture. Men set the guidelines of the culture through which the woman passes it down. So if a woman gets with a white man, logically, how can she raise a revolutionary, strong-minded black man? She can't. That would never happen, bro. Unless you get the rare instance of Baron de Vastey. But the main reason why Baron de Vastey was the way he was, like many of mulattoes during that time, he didn't really have a relationship with his father like that. He wasn't really close with his father like that. But the mulattoes that were down to surrender to the French, they were close to France. They were close to European culture. They were close to their European father. They were close to the European side of their family. And that's another reason why men are typically territorial when it comes to their women. They don't want their women running off with different groups of men, because we understand that is a geopolitical threat. That is a geopolitical threat. Now, let's continue. Vastey went on to say, "When I rushed into the arms of my brothers, whom I had the misfortune to have fought against, what remorse I felt, when instead of the reproaches that I was expecting, they took me into their midst with a true brotherly tenderness, forgetting my ingratitude and forgiving me for my errors. From that moment on, I swore an oath never to detach myself from the cause from that of my race, and I will go to the grave with these sentiments." Man, Baron de Vastey, man, rest in peace to the ancestor. Let's continue. Much still remains unclear in this account of the genocidal punishments given out in the year 1802 by the French military against the mulatto soldiers who had served them with great loyalty in that year. Notably, the question of whether Vastey was one of the mulattoes, such as Alexander Pétion, who arrived with the French invading army in early February to overthrow the government of Toussaint, or whether Vastey was already on the ground inside the colony and among the many who initially resisted and then later surrendered. The earliest trace of Vastey in post-revolutionary Haiti occurs in the 19th century memoirs that situate him in Port-au-Prince in April 1804, at the time of Dessalines' massacre of the white population. By the end of that same year, Vastey had become a bureaucrat in Dessalines' government, where he worked in the Ministry of Finance under André Vernet, a prominent general who he first met as a child back in the town of Henri. After Dessalines' assassination and the division of Haiti into two rival states, Vastey would appear to have followed Christophe into the north, as well as his mentor Vernet in 1807, which was also the same year that he married his wife. By his own accounts, Vastey worked for 7 years as principal secretary at the Department of Finance and the Interior until the death of André Vernet in December 1812. During these early years of Christophe's regime, Vastey would appear to have kept a very low profile, in contrast to the notoriety and power that he gained as secretary under Dessalines. There is little trace of his activities in the Ministry of Finance during Christophe's reign. The 19th century historian Saint Remy suggests that Vastey had a hand in writing the 1811 address in which Christophe explained his decision to transform Haiti into a monarchy. Vastey himself stated in his 1819 essay that he served as one of the secretaries for the legislative commission that was convened on the 31st of July 1811, months after the coronation of Christophe, and which after over a year of deliberations produced the magisterial Code Henri, an extensive corpus of laws which totaled nearly 800 pages and legislated seemingly all aspects of life in Christophe's kingdom. Emblematic of this low profile is the fact that Vastey was a late addition to the ranks of the newly created Haitian aristocracy. He was not one of the 87 original hereditary princes, counts, dukes, barons, and knights originally installed by Christophe back in 1811, and would only be given the title of baron over 2 years later in 1813. Legend has it that Vastey came to the king's attention in 1813 during the inauguration of the Citadel, the famous mountaintop military fortress. When Christophe listened to him deliver a toast in the king's honor, he was touched by Vastey's eloquence and rose from his seat and said, "I see that God created you to aid and serve me." From that point on, Christophe and Vastey worked side by side until both of their deaths in 1820. One of the first results of Vastey's new elevated status was that he was sent on a secret mission in March 1814 to open negotiations with Napoleon for the recognition of Haiti's independence, only to find, when he arrived in London, that Napoleon had abdicated the throne and the Bourbons were returned to power, with every intention of restoring French rule over the lost colony of Saint-Domingue. Between 1814 and 1819, Vastey would publish over 10 books and pamphlets. Many of those books were explicitly addressed to the citizens in the Southern Republic of Haiti and largely devoted to the task of assembling historical evidence that proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, General Pétion's monstrous betrayal of the Haitian people. During this same time period, Vastey carried out many administrative functions for Christophe, serving as the king's secretary as well as tutor to Christophe's son, Jacques Victor, while continuing to play a key role in the Ministry of Finance and spearheading the regime's extraordinary efforts at bringing universal education to Haiti. Unfortunately, this network of schools and academies would be immediately abolished by Jean-Pierre Boyer, the president who took power after Christophe and Vastey died in 1820. Now, time out. Yes, in 1820, when Christophe passed away, the Kingdom of Haiti was abolished. And because the Kingdom of Haiti was abolished, all the administrative plans, all the policies, all the legendary things that Christophe had in store, the education, the schools, the academies, just, man, all the prosperity, all the stability of the kingdom was destroyed because, like I said, the Southern Republic of Haiti was full of crime. It was full of corruption. It was ran by a bunch of light-skinned men who thought they were French. You know what I mean? Frenchy. Oh, oui, monsieur. A bunch of Élysée boys. You know what I mean? There wasn't really black men like that. So in the modern day, the current Republic of Haiti, it resembles the Southern Republic of Haiti from back in those days. And the Kingdom of Haiti, the prosperity, the stability, the economic opportunity, it died when Christophe died. It was abolished when Christophe died. Now let's continue. Vastey was eventually promoted to Chancellor of the Kingdom in 1819. And by the summer of 1820, he was undoubtedly one of the most powerful and wealthy men in the entire Western Hemisphere. The end of Vastey's life coincided with the rapid collapse of Christophe's kingdom in the first week of October 1820. The king had been bedridden since August when he suffered a massive stroke which left him paralyzed and ended his military career. Emboldened by this fact, a regiment of soldiers rebelled in the towns of Saint-Marc, the southernmost town of the kingdom, which in turn created a makeshift revolt in the capital on the 6th of October, led by members of the Haitian nobility who had for some time been conspiring to overthrow Christophe and take power for themselves. Now, time out. You see, this is why it's important for us to study the writings of our ancestors, because if you read the accounts of the European historians, the Europeans, they lied on Christophe. They slandered Christophe. They said that it was the Haitian citizens that overthrew Christophe because they said that Christophe was a dictator. They said Christophe was autocratic. They said Christophe was unpopular. But in reality, it was the Haitian nobility. It was the Haitian elites that waited when Christophe was weak, when he was in bed, when he was in the hospital, when he was sick with a stroke, so they can take power for themselves in a palace coup. That's what it really was. It wasn't because Christophe was autocratic or he was a dictator. That was the greatest Haitian leader that we ever had in the history of the country. And these Europeans lied on that man. They lied on him. They said he was a dictator. They said he was uneducated. They said he was, they slandered him with every name in the book. They said the citizens rebelled against him because they were unhappy. What are you talking about? The Kingdom of Haiti, it was illustrious. It was illustrious. It was the most powerful black state in the world during that time. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But that's what happens when you allow the Europeans to tell the story. That's what happens, man. That's what happens. Anyway, let's continue. 48 hours after the coup d'etat, Christophe was dead by suicide. Remaining loyal to the king until the very end, the next day, in the company of Christophe's son, Vastey left the palace and turned himself over to the mercy of Jean-Pierre Richard, the former Duc de Marmelade, and the other leaders of the coup d'etat. No mercy was shown. Vastey would suffer the same fate as his friend, Baron back in 1806, when Dessalines' secretary was murdered in the days following the emperor's assassination. By many accounts, Vastey was executed 11 days after Christophe's suicide, on the 19th of October, just days before President Boyer's troops invaded the capital and reunited the north side and the south side of Haiti. Vastey left behind a wife and two daughters, Aricie and Malvina, the first of whom would give birth to Oswald Durand. Oswald Durand was a Haitian poet and politician said to be to Haiti what Shakespeare was to England or Dante was to Italy. He was also a Haitian writer and considered to be the national poet of Haiti. On the 10th of July, 1820, the English abolitionist Thomas Clarkson wrote a 31-page letter to the King of Haiti, in which he provided a detailed account on his recent trip to France at the behest of the king. He had gone there to discover the basis upon which a solid and durable peace may be built between Haiti and its former colonial master, France. Clarkson's letter to the king was one of dozens that had been exchanged between the two men since the initiation of their correspondence back in 1815. Over the course of their intervening 5 years, Clarkson had become an ambassador for Christophe, as well as a political advisor on European geopolitics, promoting Christophe's agenda in Britain and singing his praises to foreign leaders such as the Emperor of Russia, Alexander. In 1820, this status of ambassador had gained an official dimension, with the Englishman having been authorized to make overtures to the French government on Christophe's behalf, leaving to the discretion of Mr. Thomas Clarkson the choice of the means and avenue of approach, given that the king's indispensable requirement for any negotiation with the King of France was that France must recognize Haiti as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and that France must respect Haiti as an independent nation, and that on his own behalf and in the name of his heirs and successors, France must renounce all claims to political and territorial rights over Haiti and any part thereof. And Christophe had ruled out from the start that any debt or indemnification payment or any reparations will never be paid to the French. Now, time out. You see, the black man with the black mother and the black father, when he was at the negotiation table with the Frenchman, he said, listen, bro, ain't gonna be no fucking reparations. Ain't gonna be nothing, bro. We could do business, we could do trade, but besides that, I'm a sovereign independent ruler of a sovereign independent state, and that's what it's gonna be. But you see, the mulatto boys, the light-skinned boys with the white father, when they sat down at the table, they said, yes, daddy. Oh, you want us to pay them? How much you want, daddy? How much you want? You want $21 billion, daddy? Okay, daddy. Here's the check, daddy. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, though. Let's continue. Christophe and Clarkson's transatlantic correspondence brings together two figures of massive importance in the history of slavery and its abolition. On one hand, Thomas Clarkson, arguably the founding father of all abolitionism. On the other hand, Christophe, the revolutionary hero, one of Toussaint Louverture's students and one of the most trusted associates of Toussaint Louverture since 1794, the second in command to Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Christophe, a man whose wide-ranging and ambitious international efforts created a successful, powerful, and sustainable post-emancipation state ran and controlled by black men, deserves more attention than historians care to give. And then you have Baron de Vastey, Christophe's chief publicist and chancellor of the kingdom, who had over the past several years gained a reputation in Europe as Haiti's most distinguished political writer. Now, let's jump into the book, man. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes. Take a look up on the screen. Now, like I said earlier, this book was written by Baron de Vastey, a high-ranking member of Christophe's administration. This book was dedicated to the King of Haiti, Christophe. He dedicated this book to Christophe. This book was published by Christophe's administration to the entire world. Now, this is the first page. Take a look up on the screen. Let's read this together. Vastey writes, "To the king, sir, may you receive this tribute, which I have the honor of offering your majesty. It is the product of a soul truly Haitian, the purest impulse of that soul. I have been driven to publish this work by a burning desire, the desire of contributing to the happiness of my fellow kind, of being of use to my compatriots, and earning the approbation of your majesty. I will consider myself fortunate if the goal I set myself has been attained. Sir, permit me to say it. Your majesty is the only sovereign, the only black prince, in a word, the only man of our color, who can speak up and make his voice prevail among the sovereigns of Europe and at the tribunal of nations in pleading the cause of our oppressed brethren, destined by divine providence to bring the regeneration of the Haitian people to fruition and to have them take their seat among the ranks of independent people. Your majesty is one of the first founders of liberty, the noblest and the most ardent defender of the rights of man. You are among the first of the Haitian heroes to take an axe to the ancient tree of slavery and colonial despotism, and after having played such a vital role in toppling it, your majesty is the one who has destroyed every last root of it. You are the one who has infused our soul with the energy and noble daring that spurs us onward. Your majesty has inspired this work of mine. May you deign to accept the tribute. I am with the deep respect of your majesty, the most humble and most obedient and most faithful servant and subject, Baron de Vastey." The complexion of the world is changing. A revolution benefiting the greater part of mankind is coming about, or so we hope. Everything points towards that outcome. The momentous events that have transpired in Europe, the peace treaty signed by the European powers, a new order of things, a system of reparations meant to strengthen the bonds uniting people the world over. Among the victorious powers of Europe, the magnanimous Emperor Alexander is particularly distinguishing himself by dint of his humanity, his liberal outlook, his moderation, his generosity. Surrounded by glory in the midst of his conquests, he shines with an unequal splendor, which the course of human events can never dim. The great and magnanimous British nation, having reached the highest point of glory of any people on earth can ever attain, is bringing a salutary influence to bear on the European Congress through its wise administration, the enlightened council, and the brave exploits of its fleet and armies. Oh, parallel turn of fortune. Oh, unexpected revolution. Humanity triumphs and the stage is set for the regeneration of a greater part of mankind. At the European Congress, since the first time that the world began, we see the great and pressing question of permanently abolishing the slave trade under discussion. For the first time, in outlawing that abominable and inhuman traffic, the majority of the kings of Europe are casting a look of liberation on the people of Africa. One power alone insists on maintaining the shameful traffic for another 5 years. France, the French, Democrats, philanthropists, propagators of liberty and equality, ardent defenders of the rights of man, and now today, rabid votaries of the slave trade, enemies and persecutors of mankind. Oh, delirium. Oh, inconceivable disgrace. Oh, my God. Yeah, basically, time out. Baron de Vastey just saying what we always say. Bunch of hypocritical Frenchy. Man, listen, I'm trying to keep the video clean. I was about to curse. I was about to really curse out the French nation, like the citizens of France. But I'm going to keep it clean. Let's continue. Noble and generous England, to you it falls to heal the most horrendous and the most terrible wound to ever inflict humanity. To you it falls now to bring about the regeneration of half the inhabitants of the globe. These are the circumstances so favorable for the Haitian people, in which our august monarch, Christophe, had published his manifesto, where the rights of his people and the justice of his cause are laid out in plain view for the kings of Europe and for the entire universe, and where the legitimacy of our independence is vindicated at the tribunal of nations. These are the circumstances so favorable for the black man, in which I, as a friend to my race, to my king and to my nation, I feel the need, the very compulsion to unveil the barbaric colonial system that has weighed us down for centuries. I would consider myself fortunate if these slight writings of mine can be of use to my fellow race and contribute to the happiness of my compatriots. The work I have undertaken has been done in haste, that it might appear at an opportune time. As such, it will doubtless lack something of the method and the polish that comprise the beauty of most such works. And in any case, it should come as no surprise if these writings of mine, those of a Haitian, raised on a mountain peak surrounded by forests, abound with literary infelicities. Aspiring to the glory that comes from being a man of letters is not the reason I write. My goal is to be of use to my compatriots, to enlighten them, and to unveil the truth about Europeans. Man, time out. We only on page 1, but I'm loving the language. I love when he said, these are the circumstances so favorable to the black man. Man, I love that. Let's continue. Chapter 1. Destruction of the Haitians. The origins of the slave trade. The monstrosity of the traffic. When Europeans came to the New World, their first steps were accompanied by crimes on a grand scale. Massacres, the destruction of empires, the obliteration of entire nations from the ranks of the living. Convulsed by the ambition for riches, enthralled to the cruel passion of avarice, they committed all manner of crimes out of a thirst for gold. This sordid passion is what drove the Spaniards to bring the lives of the unfortunate emperors of Mexico and Peru to such a humiliating end. It is on account of this passion that the brave and noble-hearted Guatemocan, worthy of a better fate, was thrust onto red-hot coals and left to die. For its sake, the valiant cacique, Hatue, was fastened to a stake and burned alive. And for its sake, the hapless Indians were exterminated and America decimated. What am I saying? This passion is the reason why the original population of my own native land has been annihilated. Why look any further for examples of savagery and destruction? O land of mine, is there any other on this planet whose soil has been more soaked in human blood? Is there a land whose ill-fated inhabitants have experienced greater misfortunes? Everywhere I step, everywhere I look, I see shards, vases, utensils, figurines, the form of which bear the imprint and the traces of art's infancy. In more remote and solitary locations, in the caves of inaccessible mountains, I come across skeletons still intact, human bones scattered about and blanched over time, and I still tremble. As my thoughts pause over these sad remains, these shards bearing witness to the life of a people who no longer exist, my heart is moved, and I shed tears of pity and compassion for the wretched fate of those first inhabitants of the island. Now time out, bro. Baron de Vastey said during his time in the Kingdom of Haiti, they were still discovering the skeletons of dead Native Americans, bro. They were still during that time still discovering the skeletons of the Native Americans that died back in the 1500s, 1600s, bro. Skeletons still intact. Man, corpses just laid out all over the country, bro. Man, let's continue. 1,000 memories lay siege to my heart. A multitude of reflections crowd upon me, one after another in quick succession. So there were men here before us? They no longer exist? And here are their remains? They were destroyed. What had they done to suffer such a calamitous fate? Did some race of exterminating men happen upon them? Had they no weapons? Could they not defend themselves? At this thought, I seize hold of my own weapons, and I thank the heavens for having placed in my hands the instrument of our deliverance and our preservation. O precious force of arms, without you, what would have become of my country, my compatriots, my race, my friends, my family? From that moment on, I looked upon my weapons of mine as the greatest of all possessions. Sons of the mountain, dwellers of the forest, cherish these weapons of yours. These precious weapons are the preservation of your rights. Never abandon your weapons. Pass them on to your children, along with the love for liberty and independence, and the hatred for the tyrants, and the finest legacy you can bequeath them. Unable to avert my thoughts from the vision of the first Haitians and their misfortunes, I open the history book and read with the following passage. Now, we can wrap up part one. Right there on a triumphant note. Baron de Vastey told us, man, never let go of your weapons. Your weapons are your greatest self-preservation. Never let go of your weapons, man. Never let go of your weapons. Now you understand why the Catholic Church does not want us to read about the writings of Baron de Vastey. You know why the Catholic Church doesn't want us to read about the writings of Baron Tonnerre. You know why? But that's our fault, because we should have never let them be allowed to take control of the education of our children, of our babies. So that's our fault. That's our fault that our children don't know about Baron de Vastey. That's our fault. Because you want to run around with the goddamn Europeans and the white man. That's your fault. That's your fault. That's our fault. That's our fault. Because we don't understand the importance of cultural preservation, self-preservation. It is what it is, man. Anyways, it's your boy Neferkari, that's Celine, back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash App up on the screen, and I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in the ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Pay for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you in court. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and get smack in their faces.